Jenzo, welcome to the Man Mission Money podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. This is wild. We're on the
Dude,
beach, bro.
mate, this is vibes. Absolutely insane, mate. So good. And yesterday was incredible as well. I'm sure we're going to come on to that. I wanted to start today reflecting on the last 365 days because that was actually the first time that we met each other in the flesh. Where was that Jenzo in Portugal 1 year ago?
So oddly, you brought it up a week ago when we went for a run, and you were like, "Man, you were fucked," and I was like, "Was I?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe I was," but it was just like it was a state of normal. And at that time, I was still in my role as MD of March On Gyms, which at the time we had 5 sites. We had a large team. We were just shy of 1,000 members across all sites, plus co-founder of PFCA running that, and Gym Owner Network, and whatever. And like, I was just handling loads of stuff. But I was just at that precipice where I was like, I now need to make a change. Like, I need to start saying no. So that guy was he was on thin ice of something breaking. Whether it was physical, mental, emotional, something was going to break. But yeah, that was me 12 months ago.
And what do you think was the thing that shifted?
To be honest, I think it's on the back of doing a lot of work internally on myself. And one of the big things, the big realizations, is that I'd abdicated worth, or my self-worth onto others. That if you needed me to help you in business, in life, in your career, then therefore I am worthy, and I'm needed. Um, and all of a sudden, instead of kind of setting boundaries and protecting my own energy, I was open to all, so I was like, I'd be there to be needed from the team. I'd almost say, okay, go crack on with that, but let me know if you need something. Or it's like, no, they don't need anything. Like, they should crack on. Like, true delegation and leadership is crack on. You don't need me because I've empowered you to do so. So ironically, I was creating these loops just to make it all about me, because I lacked a level of self-worth that made me feel like I was okay just for myself. So through all that work, it started to come to this tipping point where I was like, oh, I actually don't really need this anymore. But then to then go, I don't need this, and make a change, well, that was a different story.
And were there any decisions or actions that you knew that you needed to take, but you were avoiding through fear or another emotion?
Oh, largely. I mean, I just this morning before the podcast, I got here early and I actually reread the note I wrote to myself this time last year. And the opener goes, as I sit here with tears running down my face and anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen, I know that there's fear of, and then like the list of fears. And there were a ton of fears. Who is Jenz without March On? Like who, do I need March On to be this guy that runs Gym Owner Network? Does March On give me credibility, or do I have credibility without March On? What happens if I'm no longer part of that? Like, does it change? Like, am I going to be ostracized from that group? There were loads of things associated with like that social construct that I'd created in my life. But then equally, it was stepping into the unknown and fully backing myself entirely without any support system around. It's like, okay, now who are you? Anyway, and as you go down the note, it then goes, I am, it's like, I am worthy, and then a few other bits, and then it ends off with going, so here's to Jenz, the man who, ... let the story begin. And that was 12 months ago.
And how does it feel sitting back, reflecting, and reading that?
Yeah, fucking powerful. I think I now, you know, again, as you said last year, I don't think I'd stop to look back at what I'd done since that moment. I just felt like it was another moment in my life, of which there's been a few, where you go, okay, the handbrake's now off, we can go again. So it's like, you feel like there's this growth, you get hitting the ceiling, and it's like the ceiling stays for a while, and that ceiling is often the stories you tell yourself as to why you can't go to the next level. And then eventually you like punch through that ceiling, but that punch almost feels like handbrake down, let's fucking go. So from September, October last year, when I went all in, you know, we've grown the PFCA, we've grown the Gym Owner Network. I've built an incredible team. I've brought back countless hours a week in my life to the point where it's like I can't even recognize my week or my day to day. We've had a third child. We sold the house. We're moving back home to South Africa all within 12 months. I didn't realize that had actually happened until you gently reminded me on the road last week.
I think I love the frame. Like, you normalize your norms.
Yeah.
And like when you're in it, it's like that. I think I said to you on a call, it's like familiar chaos, which is something that I took from, I call him the leadership whisperer. One of my great friends, Phil, who's like, are you stepping into familiar chaos or are you stepping into unfamiliar freedom? And that familiar chaos, as that loop, feels so comfortable and so easy because it feels known, it feels safe. You feel like you get so much of your worth from, again, being the person, being the people pleaser, being the problem solver. And you're in a season of your life where you're just saying yes to everything because that's what you need to do to get the rocket ship off the ground. But then I've experienced you get to a point where it's like, okay, I can't continue to operate in this way, but I've just normalized performing and behaving in these cycles. And I know that the next level of me is going to require a different version of me, but that feels so scary. There's so much unfamiliarity. I don't actually know what that looks like. And I've almost got to be okay with like taking the next step and removing the safety blanket. And it's weird to say because you go from like being the person who's running around saying yes and trying to be I use the word guy, like you're just trying to be the guy. And it's like, okay, if I remove that and I strip that away from me and I make these decisions and I start saying no and I start setting better boundaries and I start delegating, it's almost like, who am I initially? And I think that can feel really uncharted and can feel quite scary.
It absolutely can. There's a guy called Chris Bodman. He's a performance psychologist, and he did a talk at one of our events once where he said you can't go to the new destination with the old map.
Yeah, I love that.
And you've just called it uncharted. Like, it is the path that no one's yet trodden. You know, it's a path where you're going to have to whack a few, branches and leaves out of your way with your machete just to get through the bushes, right? And it is unknown, it is unfamiliar. And as you may go through, a set of bushes only to find this wilderness on the other side, like, you got to be willing to do that. And I think far too many of us, like I was for a long time, you're the guy, you normalize that chaos, but you stay within that chaos for an extended period of time. For some people, 15, 20 years of their career, because they're in autopilot. They're unconsciously just getting on with things. And at no point are they sitting there consciously thinking, is this actually what I want? What game am I actually playing?
Yeah. What game was Jenz playing when he was in his grandma's shed when he moved from SA over to the UK in comparison to the game that Jenzo's playing now?
I think that boy, as I call him, that boy who moved to the UK from South Africa to play rugby, very entitled. I felt like I had done all the hard work from a rugby standpoint, that I deserved a pro contract. I deserved all the success. And reality is it didn't come. And this level of entitlement and deservedness had me quite bitter, quite a big chip on my shoulder. And then I was broke, and I had nowhere to live, and I had no future, and I didn't know what to do. And I had a brief stint in Scotland playing rugby where I got extremely depressed, and I was like, what the fuck have I done with my life? I've thrown it all away. To ending up somehow in the fitness industry and going, okay, this is something I can get behind. Coaching, being in the gym, these things are familiar to me, and I feel a real passion for. And then it was just simply just like, be the best. So when I was on this coaching floor in LA Fitness back in the day, so for the listeners, commercial type gym, you'll have 3,500 members. In this particular gym, there were 24 freelance trainers in this gym. So it was very competitive. It was North London, so loads of money, loads of people who had health-seeking behaviors, who had money, who would hire a personal trainer, but it was dog eat dog for those personal trainers. And I soon found out there was a guy there who did 35 hours a week, and I was like, that's my goal. And then he was doing 45. I was like, that's my goal. But I just wanted to be the best. And then eventually it was like, because it was so dog eat dog, like the shit that went down. I'm sure you know, like the shit that goes down the gym floor about undercutting each other or whatever. It just gets dark. But I wanted to be there when the other PTs arrived to work. I was with the client. When you left for lunch, I was with the client. When you came back to train, I was with the client. And when you went home at night, I was with the client because I just wanted to be the best. I wanted you to know that I was the best. Anyway, I did that for as long as I could until I broke.
Till the wheels came off.
Yeah, literally, that's that's the story. Always, oddly, ironically, yeah. So yeah, that guy was chip on his shoulder, trying to prove stuff, but also fucking around and trying to find out. I don't regret any of it. I'm so grateful for the work ethic that I had, that I brought to that whole chapter, and then the guy today, nowhere near complete. But as I said recently, is like I feel like I'm the most successful person I know, and to someone who doesn't understand what that means, it sounds really, really arrogant, really audacious. But I think it's actually the most freeing thing I could say to myself, where it's like some of my peers around me, who are good friends of mine, are more successful by a measure, if that is the measure that is most important to you. So like my good friend and business partner, Ollie, has way more money than me. I don't look at him from a place of lack or comparison. I just go, mate, you're a fucking weapon. I love that we're on a team together. I want to see you do well, but I'm very grateful for where I am. I've got a good friend. He's so smart. The way his brain works is just incredible. I love it. I wish my brain could work like that, but I don't look at it from a place of lack. I look at it from a place of inspiration. How do you show up? How do you get into your flow state? A good friend of mine, he's an incredible parent. Like seeing him parent, the level of patience he has, it's inspiring. I don't look at him from a place of lack. I just go, mate, I love the way you parent. I hope that one day I could be like that as I pursue my journey as being a better dad day to day as I iterate. And when I said that thing, it was about 3 months ago when I said it to myself, I was like, wow, isn't that cool? Isn't that cool that I have people around me that inspire me, but by no means do I feel like I'm not yet good enough because I don't have the watch, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the savings account like he does, or I don't have the amounts of companies that he does or invest. None of that. I'm just like, I'm me. I'm proud of me. I'm satisfied of me. I'm curious to see who else I can become, but only because I want to express myself, not because I am not yet there. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel like there's almost an apprehension for a period of time around like truly owning that?
I think so. Was the apprehension of saying it socially on social media? Absolutely, because it's like it's not a socially accepted norm to say that. I think me allowing myself to say that before even posting it was more a case of, are you sure? Like, is this saying that you've peaked? Because come on, like Jenzo, you're only just turned 37.
Like a fine wine. It's like a fine wine.
Yeah. But it's like, I got a lot more to give. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more to give. But that Naval quote of knowing the rules of the game, play the game to win the game so you can be free of the game. And it's like, that's a very freeing frame for me, where it's like, I'm not playing this game for any other thing other than the fact that I've now won the version of the game that I was playing. And I think, as you were coming from pro sport, like being a failed, or yeah, let's just call it a failed pro athlete, isn't a failure. It just teaches you things that you bring into your other elements of life, that if you can be the most professional in this setting, as a world-class athlete, as a world-class business coach, as a world-class dad, then you're winning. You're doing what you wanted to do. be able to wake up every day, work on yourself, be the best version of yourself, and every day is game day. It's pretty fucking cool.
I had a great call with one of our very good friends, Mr. Tom Foxley, a little while ago, and he said, health, wealth, love, relationships. Where are you just now? And he gives me a rating of like 1 to 7, 7 being like the best it could possibly be, 1 being like you're in the bin. And I gave him my scores and I was like 5, 6, 5, 6. And he's like, why is it not a 7? And I was like, because if it's a 7, then I've got nowhere else to go. In my head, I'm like, I've got nowhere else to go. And a reframe that he said to me is that, what actually, if you're almost suppressing yourself and stopping, actually you allowing yourself to experience the feeling of actually being at a 7, because it's that almost like thought process. If I get there, I've peaked. Is this it? Is this now me? Is this now the pinnacle? And he's like, what emotions or what life experience aren't you really allowing yourself to well and truly have, and like pick the £5 nut up off the floor, because you're almost holding yourself back and almost sitting in that gap because you're not really fully allowing yourself to step into that. And I've spent so much of my life then almost sat in this, like, what's next? Where am I going? I've not yet arrived. And I've always got to have that edge because I know that there's more to give, and never really then spending the time to really truly own where I am in that moment and in that time. And I said to him, I think the other fear as well is that if I say that I'm a 7, then I now know that the only way is down. He said, but that's the full life experience. You've got to have that full spectrum of experience. And I was speaking to one of my friends last week, and he was like, I've spent so much of my life being quite stoic in business, not getting too highs with the highs or getting too low with the lows. And it's just like, it is what it is. And then you're like, what are you actually missing out on? There's a great strength within that.
Yeah.
But then also, what are you missing out on, and what you're not allowing yourself to access by allowing yourself to go through those pieces. And then Tom said to me on a call the other day, he's like, life isn't what happens to you, it's what's trying to come out of you. And I was like, what actually have I almost been like suppressing or holding down or trying to hold back on, or not really truly stepping into owning through fear, judgment, what people are maybe going to say? I think really truly stepping into that. And I think about like, what's the energy that I'm almost missing, or like, what is it that I'm almost not allowing myself to truly express? And it sounds like you stepping into like that frame that you've just said was almost like you stepping into, well, Jenzo, and owning who you are and where you are.
There's so much there. I think so. Like, I've heard this analogy somewhere. I'll try not to mess it up, but it's like, as you said, if you look at like the Modern Wisdom podcast and how it went from like 10th in the world, 9th, 8th, whatever, as it's climbing, it's pretty cool. It's like, look how well we're climbing. We're moving somewhere. But the moment you hit 1, it's like, now what? And it's like, and the frame was like, if you're a pop artist and your song hits number 1 and it stays there for a few weeks, it's only going to go down. And if your self-worth is measured by that, then it's going to be a very fleeting story that you tell yourself. But I think for me, there's a really cool frame from a guy called Brendan Bouchard called Strive Satisfied. And I'd never heard it before up until literally a year ago. And I was like, that's such a beautiful way. It's like, real high performers don't resonate with words like hustle and grind. It's the wannabe guys that will resonate with those words and use those words as hustle and grind, because they need to find inertia to try and find the level of performance that someone like you would just do on a daily basis. And yet true high performers have this kind of stoic, I'm successful, I know how to win, and I'm going to keep iterating. And that's just is what it is. And I listened to that, and I've really fell in love with the frame of, I'm proud, I'm satisfied. Whereas the social media thing is, I'm proud, not yet satisfied. It's like, is that a social construct that we all have to adopt, or can I be satisfied but excited to know how I improve? And you rightly said, like, stoic in business, again, this like social thing that we've learned, that we shouldn't celebrate the wins. I remember I remember being surrounded by people in my team and what have you, who never really celebrated all those little things, and I always found it quite hard. And I'd learned their behaviors just to stay mellow. But then it started to feel quite flat, and there was no real joy, there was no real energy. So I had a WhatsApp group with all the head coaches of the March On gyms, and anytime a sale was made, I wanted a message to go into that group being like, "Fuck yeah, we just made a sale." And what they would do would G each other on and put a rocket up each other's asses, and it would end up becoming absolute great banter. Like Alex Reeder would often go, if he'd had a good week, he'd be like, "You're all in my pocket, come catch me." Like that kind of energy is so good. So recently I've started to try and celebrate those little things inside Gym Network, where I'm like, we signed a client, let's celebrate it. Or we lost a client, let's feel it. Like, let's feel, rather than just going, yeah, another client, because it's all process. Because if you do that, then it does feel quite boring. And then all of a sudden you need to try and go hunt for a feeling, but it's not there because you're consciously trying to construct it rather than just let it happen and feel. So yeah, stoic in business. It's funny you say that. Social construct, trying to protect you, where really protect you from what?
You're almost like, yeah, what am I missing? What gifts am I missing out on by not allowing myself to fully experience this? And there has to be, of course, a level of emotional regulation, a level of awareness, because if not, you are like a roller coaster and you then make decisions from emotion and actually like logic and clarity, a frame that I love, that I listened to on a podcast. I actually think it was with Ollie years ago. I was driving to the gym. I remember it so clearly. I had a cup of coffee. I was driving down the outside of the motorway, and you said, emotion kills, data builds. And I've been running so much of my business at the time on emotion and feeling, and actually hadn't really owned like the data thing. And that was a little thing you said on the podcast that was a bit of a throwaway, that I was like, wow, that spoke exactly to my soul. That was a mirror and a reflection to me. I think you need everything. You need all of the pieces of the puzzle. And as you were saying that, it reminded me of a conversation I had yesterday. And it was actually one of the guys that's inside Man Mission Money. He said, are you making decisions and running your business out of fear and scarcity, or are you running your business and making decisions out of love? And what's the difference? Because it's a completely different level of energy. And how you show up and the decisions you make, the actions you take, what you'd allow yourself to feel and experience in fear and scarcity in comparison to love, like actually what and how would you show up? I thought that was a really cool frame. And when I asked a couple of guys, they're like, yeah, I've been running my business so much from fear and scarcity for such a period of time in comparison to love. Even the difficult conversations that I need to have, the actions that I'm not taking, the conversation you need to have with a client, but you don't necessarily maybe want to say the thing because out of fear and scarcity that they might potentially leave or they might not be happy with you, but actually what's best for them long term. And if I was really making decisions from love, how differently would I show up in comparison to just almost trying to keep the peace or avoid conflict or keep everybody happy or just say yes to everything because that's what I think that I should do?
That's wild. I've never heard of that before. I guess, that frame or that framework is like fear and scarcity or abundance.
Yep.
But I think that abundant nature, again, we never allow ourselves to feel abundant because that would be that we're rated 7 out of 7. So we're always going to, in my world, I'll be like, let's rate it out of 10. But if you give me a 7, I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Because that's as vanilla as you can get. So let's just call it 10 out of 10, 7 out of 7. But coming from a place of love, that's fucking cool. Because I remember with my gym, it got to a stage where Ollie, so I think I opened up my gym 6 months before Ollie opened up his first gym, and we were teammates playing rugby together, and we were sharing notes and all that kind of stuff. And then after I must have run mine for like 13, 14 months with group classes and PT. He did the same, but then switched to a small group model. And he did that first. Jenz, I really think you should do the same. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And I remember running that model and starting to realize that I was resenting my business here, and that resentment was very fear and scarce. And then as you start to make these moves where you're investing into the business, you're investing into your team, you're investing into the product, you start to walk into your gym with a level of pride, and you're proud of the work that's going on. And that feeling that I had is the exact feeling that I teach inside Gym Owner Network. So like one of the most important things for me, it's like I want my gym owners to walk into their gyms and they feel fucking proud. And I guess that then comes back to like, because they love their business. So I really like that frame. I don't know where you got it from, but it's fucking banger.
So good. When I think about business now, everything, especially with the market that we're in, is energy. Everything is energy. And people can feel it, they can sense it, they can smell it, they can taste it. They know it. They know when you're about it and they know when you're not about it. They know when somebody's just showing up and they're showing up to tick a box and they've maybe outgrown it, or it maybe doesn't fit them anymore, or they just now know they're not really into it, in comparison to a level of energy that's contagious, that people feel drawn towards. I think that's a huge thing, because when you get to this point of like, now what? Is this it? Where do I go next? Like, you realize, of course, when you start out, you're saying about, I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to prove. I wanted to get clients. There was a level of ego. I needed status. I needed to make money because I needed to be able to pay the bills. I needed to prove to myself that I could actually do this. And then you get to the point, you go tick, 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 tick. And then you go, okay, glass ceiling that I'm then bumping up against. And you're going, wow. On paper, I'm now successful enough that I don't have to panic, but I'm now too busy to make a change because I'm stuck in this 35, 40 out, whatever it might potentially be. And then you're going, well, now growth feels like a risk. This is it. This is me. I've been able to build this level of success on like operating and behaving in this way, but I now know that I don't want to play that game anymore. It's like now going, now what? The love and the passion and the fun isn't there anymore. The hunger and the drive, you said, is like, have I peaked? And then that's the thing that you're lying in bed thinking about. I actually then feel a little bit guilty about that. Because I've got all these things that I should be grateful for. And I think there's this transition phase. I've recently been through it over the last 12 months. I think you were going through it almost in the 12 months ago as well with the transition, And you go from like, I've got it figured out to, oh, fuck, I actually haven't got it figured out. And I'm now trying to figure it out. And there's so much uncertainty that comes with that. And I think it really is like, what do you really want? Am I making decisions based upon like love and like what I'm running towards, rather than what am I just always running away from? And yes, money's important. Do you want to make more money? 100%. Do you want to work with great people? Yes. Do you want to achieve and strive and do all these things? But I think it really comes back down to it at the core of, am I excited? Am I enjoying? And am I proud of what it is that I'm creating and who I'm being? Because if not, you get to this point of like, okay, I've just now stagnated. I'm revolving. Everybody's telling me how well that I'm doing, but internally I know that I've got another level in me, but I'm just holding myself back and stopping myself from really going and actually expressing that next level because, well, I'm afraid of stepping away from something that I've worked so hard to build and create.
That's very cool. I think that full expression is such a cool frame. And we spoke about it, right? Like, it's mad how when we have nothing and we risk to build something, there's no fear because you're like, you've got nothing to lose. And then when you've got everything to lose, you're so scared of taking steps because you're like, I should be grateful for all this and this is where we're at. But something that you said there, which really sparked my brain, and we kind of spoke about it a bit yesterday, was knowing what you want and why you want what you want, and is it really true to what you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like, what is the thing that you really want, and is it really the thing that's going to make you quote unquote happy? And you taught me something really cool yesterday, which was the material set point, the materialistic set point. I'd never heard of that before, and I was like, that is so cool. And for me, material set point, there's so many moments in my life where I've had that for a long time and I've never really like spoken about it. But I know that for like, even for gym owners that I serve, and probably for you, some of the guys that you've transformed, being able to go out for dinner with your friends or your wife and not have to look at the bill and just pay, not because you're avoiding it, but because like it doesn't touch the sides, you can afford it. I know there's gym owners that like they have to budget having to go because they're not yet there, and it's like I'll say to them, right, that's something I want to work on. That date night is date night, not because it's a budget thing, but because you just want to go and spend amazing quality time with your partner. But there's this some of my best friends, their value lies in different things. Some of them are into the 60 to 80 grand watches, not my vibe. Some will rather pay thousands for a golf membership, not my vibe. But I know many people would think, okay, well, I'm not yet successful until I have the watch and the golf membership and the car. It's like, bro, I just bought my dream car at 36 years old. Cash, outright. Is it an Aston? No. Is it my dream car? Yes. It's the kind of stuff that like I didn't even allow myself to normally do because I'd be too scared to do it, to be then like, you've peaked. And Jolene asked me last night, she said, oh, that's real delayed gratification about something. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm getting better at it. And she's like, what's that? Like waiting for it to come? And I was like, no, allowing myself to just enjoy it now, because normally I'd be like, you're not yet there yet, so just keep working, shut up and keep going. And she was like, is that delayed gratification then? I was like, no, it's just knowing that I'm okay now. And she was like, that's pretty cool, babe.
So good. So if we stay on that thread for a moment, let's go into the monetary side of things. We actually had a conversation about this. I think you rang me. I think you were taking Rubes to just to gymnastics, and you just had a call and we just had a quick catch up, and we were talking about that. I'll speak from personal experience. So much of me has almost not wanted to really spend money on myself, and it's something I really struggle with. Spending it on other people, not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Like, no issues whatsoever. But then I'm like, when I get to that point, or when this happens, then I will maybe allow myself. And again, same thing, sitting in the gap. And of course, there is a beauty in discipline, delayed gratification. And absolutely, there's also a period of time where it's like, no, I need to say no to everything. And I do need to absolutely do that. And then it also comes to a point where it's like, what am I waiting for? I think that book, Die With Zero. It's like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And there's seasons and chapters of your life that you have to, you need to be able to make certain decisions around where you are and what you have access to. So what am I holding back on, allowing myself to spend money on that, or maybe like, I don't deserve it yet, in alignment with actually what I really value? And that's something that I've been really working on myself. Because it's like, no, you don't deserve that. No, work a little bit harder. No, when you get to this point, then you will. And it's almost like whipping myself into, not submission, but it's like, no, you don't. It's that almost like running away from. You're not deserving, in comparison to going, actually, yeah, I can do this. I can enjoy this. Not from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. And actually, I'm worthy of it. What's been your experience of?
I don't think I've nailed the narrative well enough. So like, even how you just described it there with like deservedness, I don't really have the answer for that yet. I don't think it's something I've nailed quite just as yet. I think I remember a pretty cool story. So we opened March on Bath and I had worked for a very long time on the launch strategy for entering this market. We were charging more than double anyone else was charging. It was a really new concept. A lot of fitness consumers in the city of Bath, but not very sophisticated in the sense of their price point that they're willing to pay. So, if most people are paying 80 to 120 pound a month for group fitness, we were coming in at 250. Why should we, like, who are we to charge that? And many people were like, don't, and what have you. And Ollie and I stuck to our guns. Anyway, so I created this incredible launch strategy. We had over 1,000 people on a wait list. We sold over 150 founding memberships before even day one. Like I tell you now, that is levels. And no one said thanks to me. No one said, Jenz, man, that was fucking sick, because it was just part of the job. And even if someone did, I didn't hear it. And that really left like a weird taste in my mouth. I was like, do I need a thanks? And then it looped back to that self-worth thing. Like, I needed them to make me feel worthy rather than me just saying to myself, well done. And I was abdicating responsibility to other people to make myself feel worthy of the fact that I just crushed. And I don't need anyone else to tell me that I crushed, but for some reason, I did. So I reflected on that. I was like, okay, well, what about this whole journey that I enjoy? And there was a day where we opened up applications for founding memberships, and I sat next to Justin in a hotel room, teaching him how to sell live in person on the day. 20-minute calls. He was booked from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. And I was writing down objection handling cues on my phone mid him on loudspeaker, because he had never sold before and I needed him to do the sales, not anyone else, because he was going to be the guy. It was the most incredible day, and that was the most fulfilling, enriching day of my career. One of the best days I've ever had. So I was like, okay, cool, bosh. That's my reward. Just remember that. Anyway, going into 8 weeks later, we open up March on Victoria. Same strategy, same success. Bish, bash, bosh. It's all going really well. I was in Cornwall with my family at the time, so I had to fly back for opening night and opening day, and I flew back later that day. And I was flying from like Stansted Airport and had to get back to Cornwall. And I was just walking through the airport through duty free, and there was a watch shop, and I walked in, and there was this really nice stainless steel watch. Way more than I'd ever really paid for a watch. Not the kind of money I mentioned earlier, but again, for someone like me, I was like, I've always wanted a decent watch. I was like, I'm going to buy that watch for myself to be like, well done, you crushed launching March on Victoria. And I paid for it, and I felt fucking great. And I was like, that's my reward system. And it was like a really cool moment. And then I enjoyed that. I wore it for a few weeks, like in moments, like it's not a day-to-day watch. And then I realized something. I was like, I'm not a dog. I don't do a trick and get a prize for it. Like, whatever are the things, the energetic things that I need to tell myself that, like, I'm good, I'm worthy, I'm able to express myself, I'm able to see like what shots I can take. Just take the shots, but enjoy it. And I don't need the watch. I don't need the thanks. Like, what is the applause that I need for myself, from myself, or at least from my family, that makes them look at me with like awe and wonder, rather than like, peers around me. Do you know what I mean? It's a wild story.
Yeah, I think the best lessons sometimes have to be experienced in order for them to be fully understood. And you said that Naval quote earlier as well. You almost have to play the game to win the game, set yourself free from the game. You got to do the things. Like you got to chase the body composition goals. You got to chase the car. You got to chase the whatever, to then allow yourself to realize, okay, I thought that this was the thing. Is this actually what I want? Or actually I tick that box and this has now taught me a valuable lesson. I think it's, what does success now look like to you? I think you're playing your own game, and sometimes it's easy to look at like, am I doing this right? Is this what I want? Is this what I think that I should want? Or is this what I should be doing? And as always, it comes back down to, do I have confidence and backing and trust within myself and my own decision-making process? And that's all it comes back to. And this is what I'm realizing so much more, even with respect to kind of like self-leadership. So do I just back myself and have confidence to be able to make a decision and trust and own like what it is that I'm doing and the next step that I'm going to take, even if I haven't got it all figured out yet?
Yeah, but I think on that though, people don't know what success looks like. So we look to others to model success. So you are a role model for so many. And then people will try and adopt all of you rather than the things that my value system or their value system resonates with your value system, takes a little bit of. and takes it as inspiration rather than feeling like I have to, right? So like you packing up and moving to Portugal, that probably inspired a lot of people to do the same. Maybe not to Portugal, but to just go and live somewhere. But maybe they didn't have the framework to go, what, am I just running away from something else rather than going, I really want to go live somewhere else? And I think that's where, like for me, in our community that I'm trying to build, I'm trying to create enough role models that show a level of success, that give you inspiration, that you can then franken model your own version that feels aligned to you. One of my guys, his gym is in Bicester in Oxfordshire, but he lives in Wales because that's where he's from. He didn't think that was ever possible. And I was like, dude, you can run growth and the team from there. You're only 3 hours drive away and you can go back whenever you need to. The guy gets to walk his little dog like you every morning for sunrise. That is winning for him. For others, it's the fact that they get to be in their gym at 5:30 every morning. Some of them jump into an engine class most mornings to start their day with their members, have a coffee with their members, and that's success. But I think what we really struggle to do is build a set of people around us as role models of what we want or maybe what we don't want, and then be able to like discern what is it that we truly want. And I think you're right. Like, unfortunately, we have to go and do the thing to realize that's not the thing. But I guess it's our job in our position to help them not have to buy the watch that really didn't mean anything or sign up to a 12-month golf membership for no fucking reason because you hate golf, but you just want to do it because that's what the boys are doing. And I think that's the thing that, like, I guess that's our job. But maybe it's the unteachable lessons. Maybe.
Talking about what we truly want. You're moving back to SA in 2 weeks' time. And I've watched even from Portugal to now this kind of 12-month iteration that you've been through. What's that process been like?
That's fucking cool. It's a bit dark. Like, I knew that I wanted to do a 2-month trial in 2026 in South Africa. Jolene, my wife, a lot of trepidation around moving back home. So I was like, okay, let's just go for 2 months. 2-month holiday in the worst season, which is their winter. Let's experience it. If you like it, we'll make plans to move in 2027. Then late October, November last year, one of my good friends was shot and killed in a home invasion in Johannesburg. And I was like, that really rocked my vision for the family, because I was like, is South Africa on a decline? Am I chasing something and putting my family at risk? Like, what am I chasing? Just be content with what you have. Like, you've got a great life in the UK. You've built an incredible success. You've got a great community. Stop wanting for more. Just like, the grass isn't greener. Just stay. But something didn't really feel right. I went to South Africa over Christmas time, and looked at a couple of houses, and these houses were audacious as hell. Affordable because they're cheaper, but they were really audacious. And I didn't want myself to allow myself to have that house. But I actually looked at that house as like, I'm going to retire. I'm not yet ready for that. So I was like, okay, maybe now's not the time. And I was like, okay, just, and this was going to be in a very different area, very safe. And then I was like, okay, when I got back, I was like, okay, Joel's isn't really settled with the idea of South Africa. My friend had, sadly been shot and killed. Maybe you should just fucking embrace the UK. So it was like January, whatever, early Jan. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to running in the trails because I love trail running. I feel very alive when I run in the trails. And I came up with this concept of just wear the jacket. The weather's shit. You're going to get wet. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be windy. It's going to be fucking cold. Just wear the jacket. So all of Jan, Feb, I'm wearing the jacket. And I'm being disciplined as hell, showing up at like in the dark, head torch, whatever. But fuck me, it was shit. It was so shit. And then eventually I was like, this is not cool. And we're at a stage in our family where in order for my son to get into great secondary school, we needed to change where we lived to fit in the catchment area for the school and what have you. So I found a house in one of the most expensive freaking towns in the UK. And it was a proper reach for me financially. But you speak to your peers around you who are 10, 20 years senior, and they go, nah, bro, like that's normal. That's normal. You want to push the quote unquote limit of where you are now, because you'll grow into it. And I was like, okay, fine. So I had a lot of anxiety around this house, and I thought it was largely around the money. And it was beautiful by all intents and purposes. The garden felt the most South African garden I could get. The garden backed onto a farm field, so it felt like I was in nature, but I was only 6 minutes drive from the town. Seemed like all guns ahead. My house was on the market. We're buying this house. Like, it's go, go, go. And then one day I'm sitting at the airport. I'm sitting on a plane about to fly to Scotland for work. And the captain goes, listen, I'm really sorry. We are delayed due to fog. We're not going anywhere until the fog clears. So I'm sat there on my phone, respond to a couple WhatsApps. Next minute I'm on social media, and I see one of my good friends had just come back from a 2-week holiday in South Africa. So I phoned him. And bear in mind, I'm 3 weeks away from exchanging contracts on this massive house. So financially, I'm tied in then. So I phoned him. I was like, hey, Tim, how you, bro? He goes, Jenz, I've been dreading this phone call. I'm like, what do you mean dreading this phone call, bro? He goes, well, I know, like, you're so close to buying that house, and I know how much you love South Africa. I don't want to tell you that, like, my trip was great and it sways your decision in any way. I was like, bro, don't be silly, man. You're one of my best mates. Like, if you had a great time, just tell me. He goes, dude, we had the best time. He starts telling me about his son and my son are the same age, how Jack was, how the whole vibe was. And I felt my heart just yearning for, like, that feeling for my family. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? So I text my aunt and uncle who live in South Africa, and I was like, I need an unbiased conversation tonight. I know how much you'd love us to move back, but I need it to be a legit conversation around the risk of crime, the schools, the this, the that, like everything. And they are two very respected people in my life, and we had a very good conversation. And my uncle, he's a big sales guy, and at the end he goes, sounds like you've made your decision, but you just need to close the wife. And I was like, yeah, leave it with me. I was in Scotland for 5 days. All I wanted to do was phone her. I couldn't do it over the phone. On the Sunday, I told her, first thing she said to me was, what the fuck is your problem? If you just need a holiday, just go to SA. I can deal with the kids. I was like, nah, babe, it's not that. And then she was like, it feels like you're ripping the carpet from underneath me. I was like, well, what if I'm Aladdin and this is a magic carpet if we go on a magic carpet ride? And she was like, screw you. Anyway, and it's the best decision I've ever made. It's the most aligned thing I've ever felt. Like everything since then has put me in a position where I feel like unbelievably aligned and free. And like whatever weight of the world that I felt like I was carrying, I feel like I can carry that and so much more. And like now it just feels like full fucking steam ahead. So we've sold the house, we've sold everything, we move in 2 weeks, and I couldn't be more excited. I haven't been there, like I haven't lived there for 18 years. I've never lived in Cape Town. Like this is a completely different world, but it's a world where like we as a family are so ready for like the exploration and the journey and whatever will be. But I know for my kids, their upbringing is going to be fucking awesome. And that, like, I know that I'm like, for me as a man looking at myself in the mirror, I'll be like, you did it. You did what you thought was right. You went all in. I don't know what's on the other side, but I back it and I'm excited.
Mate, so cool. So cool. And even you showed me the schools and everything yesterday as well. unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like
bro.
absolutely insane. If I transition into the business side and you move into SA,
Mm.
built two incredible businesses that are industry leading, built the team, proximity, you're in and about it, and now you're about to travel 12 hours on a plane, technically away from where you've built this home and this hub. And I know there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast, and I get messages all the time. They're like, "Oh, hey, dude, I seen you move away, and like, how's it been, etc." What's been the thought process or the challenges that have come about with the thoughts of moving abroad or moving back home?
I think two things. One, my team is kind of hybrid anyway, and yeah, I'd see them maybe like bi-monthly or whatever, but there was this, like, some of my team I'd see on a regular basis, and I'd be like, oh, how would they feel? Are they going to be okay? But it's like, well, they're going to have to be okay, but this is what I'm doing. Stop like thinking about them first. I got to put me first and my family first, because the business is like, I need to practice what I preach. Like, I would tell someone else, be like, dude, like, you've built this business, you're allowed to do this, and we'll build a team around you. It's you and your genius. And I was like, I needed to practice that and swallow my own shit. And then the other side of that coin was, it is scary because it's going into the unknown, and it's the unknown in terms of working remote and what have you. But also it's a great challenge where my leadership, my system building, my communication, and my delegation that it's now been taken care of is only going to improve. Like, you as a leader, when you're in proximity of your team, is great. But what about you as a leader when you're not there and they have to do it for extended periods of time? That's the boss leader. As far as I'm concerned right now, like, that's what I seem as I can look at and go, that version of me as a leader is the thing I need to step into. Let's see what I can create. And I don't know, but in 10 years' time, I'll look back and be like, this leadership journey I'm on now is probably going to teach me so much things that's the growth I'm yearning for. I said to you on the boat yesterday, I am nervous that I go and overcompensate with my work load to create a perception or the optics that I am still very much about it. And I guess that's the thing that I need to just remember. It's like, nah, it's a leadership thing. If you can lead well, communicate well, systemize well, so that I'm not needed to work 80 hours a week. Because there's no point me going and moving there for these lifestyle upgrades, being amongst the most beautiful places in the world, to then be sat in my garage office for 12 hours a day, just be like, look at me, I'm on Zoom, chipping away. Like, how sad would that be? Talking about it now helps me think about how I'm not going to do that.
And what would you say have been some of the biggest lessons, aha moments, or insights you've got from a leadership perspective over the last 12 months by growing the team and going on this personal journey?
Oh, man. So tough because, got two businesses, PFCA, education business, runs on a cyclical intake basis, very established, does what it needs to do. It's just a flywheel system. So that there is a lot to do with saying what you need to say, being very direct, done. On the Gym Owner Network side, team's very young in terms of the maturity as a team. A lot of KPIs have not gone our way. So I've needed to be extremely patient with that. Extremely patient. And even to the point where that team, who are all gym owners themselves, they've gone, it's mind-blowing how patient you are with this stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess so. Or they've gone, it's been really nice to know what it feels like to be led by you. It's made my leadership better. It's like, oh, that's nice, but this is just how I'm playing, how it lies right now. So I think the real lesson is you can't lead in one way. You have to lead along the spectrum as to the needs and wants of the individuals and the team. And even across that, my quote unquote direct reports, they all need different things from me. But one of the best tactics that I've implemented into my own leadership, which I've now taught to many others, is forced to have a lot of leadership meetings on Zoom rather than in person has actually made me and a lot of my other guys better leaders because of the power of the transcription, to then run that transcription through some kind of an analysis or report, to then go, okay, that leadership meeting, the sentiment was great. You spoke 85% of the time, which was 40% too much as to what you should have done. And you left that meeting without any real clear action or deadline. So that meeting scores a 6. That's phenomenal. Real-time leadership coaching. And I think that's probably been the biggest tactical learning. It's like, yeah, from a leadership book, we're going to be like, treat people individually, blah, 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 on a spec, whatever. But as a tactic, that's been really useful with how we're using AI, to the point now where a loop from a team meeting via AI is already coming in, going, giving all the detail that I lack because my brain doesn't work that way. I'm all vision, all big picture. I say big things. I mean big things. How I want my operators to interpret what I said is, okay, when Jenz goes, we're starting a new course. This is who it's for. This is what it's about. They're like, get it. I'm not going to be the guy. So module 1, 1.1, it's this and this. I don't want to be saying that shit. That's your job. Like, I'm just like, this is how we're doing it. This is, do you know what I mean? And now AI is doing that for us. It's like plugging in those gaps, which is brilliant.
And how have you found letting go and delegating and allowing yourself the opportunity to spend more time, like zooming out and not being the guy that says yes and he's in and about it?
So that's why I smiled when you brought up the love versus abundance thing. Like, I think for me, I love my business more now that I'm seeing my team thrive and contribute in the way that they are to the community, and seeing them grow. Like, so I love my business more. Whereas at stages where I was doing too much delivery, starting to resent it. So letting go for me wasn't hard. Letting go for me was an opportunity for me to grow as a leader, and for me to see the people that, you know, the 4 guys that sit on my team on the Gym and Network side, they had reached their professional ceiling in their businesses. They have exited their gym by 80%. And I felt like I could give them an opportunity where I take that 80% to teach them how to truly understand gym business by learning from me, to then, you don't truly know something until you can teach it, right? And giving them that platform and giving them, the last 12 months to learn that has been a fucking game changer for them. And for me, seeing these people grow has been unbelievably fulfilling. One of my guys, C-Mac, he's called, up in Scotland. As you say, you can't fake passion. I've mentored this guy for 5 years, from a garage PT to now one of the best gym owners in Scotland. Being able to be part of his story is fucking unreal. Seeing these guys overcome their own stories in their gyms, winning at gym life, and now being able to contribute back, and them being like true role models as examples for the gyms in the network. That's so cool. And then for me, when you go letting go, it's like, I'm not letting go here. I'm doing what I love best, which is I get a coach. Like, Coach Jenz is fucking Coach Jenz, and Coach Jenz wants to coach his people. And my people, yes, they're the gym owners and the coaches inside the network and PFCA, but it's my team. I want to, like, in my little letter to myself, I said, I want to be a transformative leader. One who gets to walk into work with a smile on his face. That's all I want to do. There's, like, our business is serious but playful. The banter's top draw. We aim for KPIs, we'll shoot for KPIs, but we're always going to have a good time doing it, which is kind of where I want to be. So to answer your question, zero trepidation, just excitement.
I'm operating from building from fun and passion or stress and pressure.
Yeah.
It's like when I play football, as a kid, I played from fun and passion. It's like, can I now go and hit that ball in that bin from this distance here? And you just go and play and you have these tricks.
Yeah.
And I moved into professional sport, and it was like that fun and passion and that play just turned into stress, pressure. I need to perform. I need to make sure that I can, and I have to be able to now, and I ended up then just go vroom, and I limited myself. And I was like, oh, dude, I look back now and I'm like, the energy was off. I was playing from the wrong place. And then failed professional footballer. You then go back to playing football from a place of fun and passion again. I play my best years of football. And it's the same from what I'm hearing with business as well. Like, of course, there's going to be stress and pressure. And it's like, let's not get away from it. Like, building a business is so hard. There's so much challenge. There's so much stress, pressure, responsibility, load. Like, there's so much that, of course, you're going to have to tolerate as you continue to grow. So if I'm not using that intentionality of like fun and passion and enjoyment and pride and excitement and having a smile on my face, well, you're literally just growing into pain. And you're then going to reach a certain point where you're just going to go, what's the point? I'm not doing this anymore because I'm not really enjoying it. And I think when you do operate from that, I think there's a bit like a misconception. It's like when we talk about like fun and passion, excitement, it's like, yeah, like there's challenge and it's hard and it's difficult and there's going to be struggle. So you need to be able to find joy in that and at least have that as like the North Star. Because if you don't have that energy that's pulling you forwards, I think that's where you reach a point where you almost do cap out your potential. You're like, I'm not willing to compromise and sacrifice and trade anymore to access what's next because it's not worth it. But it's that scarcity, fear versus love piece that I think it comes back down to.
Yeah. I mean, Tom Foxley, our good friend, he talks about the champ's mindset. And it's like it's a hierarchy. I'm sure we can find it and put it in post. There's like a few levels, but at the top of a champ's mindset, it's joy. And we talk about different people, different peer groups that inspire us to be better. There's Charlie Marchon. He always has a smile on his face, but he can work. He can hang. And like that's something that I love doing is like I'm still gonna make shit jokes. I'm still gonna have a good time doing it. And if I can't even do that, then what's the point? And one of my employees, she's a fucking legend, Chelsea. She goes, my new dating rule is if the girl can't hang with office banter, she doesn't pass the grade. And I'm like, I love that. 2 parts. 1, you realize that like there's no HR in this office banter. But 2, that's a filter that you're going to take on in your life. And I think that's ultimate freedom, right? You can freely express yourself. You can go through shared struggle, and you choose to, you enjoy it because you want to do hard shit. Like you want to be in a flow state, right? Like flow is defined of too much challenge or not enough challenge, therefore boredom. It's like you want to find that sweet spot, and you're constantly towing that line with like that optimal challenge every day. And that's the joy, that's the playfulness. As you say, kicking a football into the bins. What are you doing once you've done it from 2 meters away? You're taking a step back until you're like, how far can I stand to still get it in? It's fun. It's like, it's error correction. That's what it is.
Tell me about Jenz, the man, the dad, the husband. Because if I look at where you are currently, 3 kids, 3 incredible kids. We spent a day with them yesterday, and I kept on saying to you, mate, I was like, these kids are unbelievable. Like, me and Leanne had so much fun. They were absolutely amazing. And I was like, that's such a credit to both you and Joel's. And an absolute pleasure to spend time in their company. Like, we had so much joy in that. Selling your house, moving to SA. Obviously, 8-week-old baby as well that I'll add into obviously the 3 kids. Running an ultra just for banter, just because you wanted to be able to prove to yourself that you could go and do that in the background. Running 2 businesses, there's a lot of moving parts, and holding an incredible relationship with Joel's, and everything comes into that. How is Jenzo managing, balancing, and operating that allows him to facilitate all of those different moving parts?
Thanks for all the nice words. I think my marriage. I'm very proud of my marriage. I'm very proud of my relationship with my wife, and we have one core value, and it's the word effort. Growing up, I remember my dad would come home from a hard working day, land on the sofa, and just expect my mom to bring him food, and that was his evenings. And I never wanted that for my wife and my family. So this idea of even when I'm fucked, I want to come in and have the effort to go straight into the kitchen, greet my wife, be with my kids, do whatever's needed. And it's doing it even when you're tired. You're going to be tired anyway. You're tired from something. You're always fucking tired. I think no amount of I've done all the health optimization, I've done all the woo stuff. Like, yes, you have bouts of energy and you have bouts of fatigue, but generally, when you're working as hard as people like us do, people like the people listening, you're going to be fucking tired. So just fucking get up and get it done. And effort for me is just doing it even when you don't have the energy to do so. So with the new baby, I've found myself putting more effort in than I've ever have with kids, and I've really enjoyed it. I found myself putting more effort into Joel's than I ever have, and I've really enjoyed it. And I can see she really appreciates it. I with my kids, even on the tired days, and they're like, "Dad, can we play?" It's like, yes, of course we can play. Like, and if the lazy fucking dickhead inside of me goes, "Oh, mate, maybe just tell them just hang out, just chill, watch some TV." It's like, nah, like this is the life you asked for. So it's just like it's constantly using that frame effort. Like, go put effort into that. And every time you do so, the reward cycle is always so worthwhile. It really is. Parenting's hard, man. Like as I said, you feel like you're winning and losing every day. But if you're putting effort into their upbringing, you do get rewarded. Like how they behaved with you guys yesterday, that is a reward from the constant struggles trying to teach them good mannerisms, good respect, etc. And it was beautiful to see, and it's really, really nice. And so it's all these things, and I think when you ask how am I balancing, I don't think I'm balancing anything. I think it's just like I'm just choosing to put my wife first. I'm choosing to put my kids first. I'm choosing when to do business. And this morning couldn't sleep, been up since 3:30, so I chose to get some work done, and I recreated an operational rhythm for the team because it was something I needed to get done. It was something on my agenda, and I had an energy, and I was like, okay, well, what's my choice? I could press snooze and lay in bed and whatever, or I could get up and do some work. And I guess that's when you go, okay, there's no such thing as quote unquote balance. It's just like know all the things that are important to you and just go. You're tired anyway, bro. Just go, get some caffeine, carry on.
Integration and alignment. It's just one. What's
Yeah.
Joel's giving Jenz?
Joel's is my rock, bro. She's my rock. She's my calm. She's my peace. She's the person that makes me feel safe. She's the person that I want to make proud. She's the person that I want to give her so much safety and security that she can be fully herself. So I know that if she's winning, the team is winning. The kids are in a great place, everything. So she's the most important thing. And she gives me real purpose. So when you talk about man, money, mission, like she's one of my biggest missions is like seeing her thrive. When she's thriving, we're thriving. When we're thriving, the kids are thriving. When I'm thriving, like, oh man, it's just like it's so sick. So Joel's gives me purpose, she gives me safety, she gives me peace, and she gives me a lot of joy. Like seeing her laugh just brings the best out of me.
And if we're sat having this conversation in 12 months' time,
Mm,
I'm either coming to you, you're coming to me.
yeah.
What would Jenz love to be celebrating? What would he love to be able to look back and connect the dots on? We're out for a trail run, and I go, dude, do you remember we had that conversation 12 months ago, and now this is...
I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. and have that chat with you then.
Mate, it's so good. On a personal level, what you've given me, there's been so many times over the last year where we've had phone calls and it's just been little nuggets, insights, holding space, challenging. There's been a couple of things that you said that have lived rent free in my head. I think that's it. Like the environment dictates your performance, and that isn't about attacking and getting after it. I think so often it's about allowing somebody to feel seen.
Mm.
I think that's one of the greatest gifts that you can give somebody, is giving somebody permission to be unapologetically themselves, owning what it is that they want, and allowing somebody to have the space to be able to go on that journey and to watch somebody evolve, not because you have the answers, but because you're there standing shoulder to shoulder with them. And I see you as an incredible friend and peer who's, through me going through a big transition phase of the last 12 months, and you have in your own way, having those conversations and watching you evolve and step in and slay the dragons, as you would say, has given me so much inspiration. And not only that, I said permission for me to go, okay, why not me? Why not me? And so for that, my friend, I have the greatest amount of gratitude, appreciation, and love for you. And the last 24 hours have been incredibly special. And I'm looking forward to. We'll have to get an essay episode squared away,
Yeah.
which will be phenomenal.
I'll try beat this.
100%, mate. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Mate, for the guys that want to find out where you are, what you do, what you're about, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, I mean, social media, Instagram, Jenz.Robinson, I think it is. I mean, I should know this. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes below. If you want to follow my businesses, the PFCA is the education business. We certify and educate personal trainers. We are the market leader in the UK for sure, aiming to be in the world when it comes to the quality of coach we produce, and then the Gym Owner Network, which literally does what it says on the tin. But Joe, I'd second that, bro. I see you as an awesome peer, a great friendship blooming. You're wildly successful. You do it, alongside Leanne, and I don't think you realize how good you are. So when you say those nice things about me, I'm like, dude, I'm the one looking up to you, bro. So thank you very much, and I respect everything you're doing, bro.
Mate, let's go and get a flat white and some breakfast.
Let's do so.
Let's close the loops. Dude, appreciate you. Thank you.
Sweet, brother.